Welcome to Fake Love and Flying Monkeys, the podcast where fake love is exposed. I'm Nova Gibson and I am your host. I'm the principal counsellor at Brighter Outlook Narcissistic Abuse Counselling.com.au. This space is dedicated to helping you reclaim your worth and understand the impact of toxic relationships with suspected narcissists. You deserve clarity, healing, and freedom from the pain of fake love and flying monkeys. So please leave a review and grab a copy of my book, Fake Love, Understanding and Healing from Narcissistic Abuse. Let's uncover the truth and take back your power. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Fake Love and Flying Monkeys. Today's episode is one I've had a lot of requests for. It's about the super empath and why, when that super empath or the victim finally wakes up and becomes the narcissist's worst nightmare. We're going to talk about what a super empath actually is and how narcissists are magnetically drawn to them, or at least they sense this person out in a room who is so attuned to the needs of others. And we're going to talk about what happens when that super empath finally flips the script. Let's get into it. But before I get going, guys, I just want to remind you again to subscribe to my new YouTube channel. Just look for the link in the description because I'm going to be doing some live streams and, of course, putting regular videos and other content out. And I can't wait to see you there. Now on with the show. So what is a super empath really? Okay, well, it's not a formal diagnosis. It's really just a term that's come to describe those people, maybe people like you, who feel everything, like really deeply. You pick up on people's moods before they've even spoken. You know when someone's lying. You just do. You sense pain, you sense shame, loneliness, and your instinct is to help. Yes, your instinct is always to help others, and you're often doing all of that while ignoring your own needs. Super empaths are the peacemakers, the fixers, the over-apologizers. You're the ones who often come from childhoods where you've had to manage someone else's emotions to stay safe. So you're finally tuned in to the moods of others. You're hyper vigilant, hyper aware, and you're often the adult version of the child who learned to read the room before they walked into it. And that's exactly why narcissists love super empaths, because they love to take, and you love to give. And that's exactly what the narcissist wants. Someone who will put the narcissist's needs above their own. Someone who will overfunction while they do nothing. They underfunction. Someone who will take the blame while they maintain that mask of theirs. And in the beginning, they love bomb you for it. You just get me. I've never met anyone like you. You're my soulmate. You're the only one who understands me. And because you're wired to help, to fix, to rescue, you fall for it. But here's the twist, guys. The super empath doesn't stay asleep forever. So what happens when the super empath wakes up? Okay, there is always a moment, just that little flicker of clarity, like a final straw, the light bulb moment, a moment where something clicks and everything changes. It could be really, really small, a look in their eye that suddenly just feels really empty to you, a cruel moment that isn't explained away by you. It really lands differently. Or maybe it's a big event like cheating, betrayal, humiliation, whatever it is, it snaps you out of that fog. And when the empath wakes up, well, that's the moment the narcissist loses control, because now the person they depended on to regulate their emotions and make excuses all the time, smooth things over, they're stopped playing the game. You stop absorbing their blame. You stop explaining away their behavior. You stop trying to get back to the good times that were never real to begin with. And they feel it instantly. That shift in energy, that refusal to engage with their baiting, that steady, grounded no that you never used to say, or those boundaries that you finally put in place. And that is terrifying to a narcissist, because what they need more than anything is control over your emotions, your mind, your reality. And when you take that back, they panic. Now let's take a look at why the super empath becomes a threat. Okay, let's be clear. The super empath isn't just someone who walks away. They often walk away silently, with clarity, with no dramatic exit scene, just a quiet shutting of the door. And narcissists hate that because, as most of you know, they love the drama. They need drama. They need chaos. They need you to react, because your reactions are how they feed their ego. But the super empath doesn't just go silent. They go inward. They learn. They reflect. They level up. They don't just survive. They transform. And that transformation, that exposes the narcissist, because for the first time, someone saw through them and walked away. Not broken, not bitter, but wiser, sharper, calmer. And that kind of strength is a threat to someone who's built their identity on illusion and control. The super empath, when they're empowered, they become a mirror, one that shows the narcissist exactly who they are. And narcissists hate those mirrors because they can't manipulate them. The dynamic flips with that power shift. In the beginning, the narcissist had all the power, or so it seemed. They had the charm, the control, the games. You were confused, walking on eggshells, second guessing everything. But once that fog starts to lift, the super empath sees the pattern. You see the cycles. You know what gaslighting feels like. You understand the manipulation. You've done that inner work. You start trusting your gut again. You start setting boundaries and meaning them. You stop letting their silence, their narcissistic rages, all of those moods dictate your peace. And that's what makes you their worst nightmare, because they can't unring that bell. They can't undo your awakening. So what happens to the narcissist after you wake up? Well, they'll do what they always do. They'll smear, they'll replace, they'll triangulate, they'll play the victim. They might find new supply. They'll always find new supply. They might tell everyone you're crazy, difficult, unstable. They need to rewrite the narrative, because the truth that you saw through them, that's unbearable to them. But it doesn't land the same way anymore for you, does it? Because You don't need them to understand. You don't need revenge. You don't need closure. You're giving that to yourself. You don't need anyone to believe your side. You've moved from survival to sovereignty. Super empaths are dangerous to the narcissist. The narcissist fears you because once you wake up, you're not going back to sleep. You become the one who breaks the cycle. You don't just walk away from them. You walk away from your own patterns. You stop betraying yourself. You stop needing their validation. You become your own safe place. And that kind of power, it's the one thing the narcissist can't control. They can't copy and they can't destroy. Now, just a reminder, guys, in ending, super empath isn't a diagnosis, as I said earlier, or some official title. It's just a term that many people use to describe themselves when they're highly intuitive, deeply feeling, and maybe a little more emotionally tuned in than the average person. It's more a self-diagnosis. But honestly, I think so many of you are super empaths or at least very, very attuned into the needs of others. You all are high on empathy. You've had to be, especially if you've been through narcissistic abuse. You read people, you sense danger before it hits. You become hypervigilant and you care, often too much. I really believe that whether you identify as a super empath or not, you'll have your own moment, your own light bulb moment where things click, the fog lifts, and you finally start putting those boundaries in place. Maybe the super empath just gets there a little quicker because they're wired to pick up the pattern, but the growth, the power, that's in all of you. In the end, whether you call yourself a super empath or just someone who feels deeply, the truth is your empathy is not the problem. It was never the weakness. It's the very thing that made you human. In the face of someone who was not playing by the same rules, the same emotional rules. You cared when they didn't. You stayed soft when they turned cold. You tried to understand them while they were busy dismantling your personality, your sense of self. But here's the shift, guys. Empathy does not mean self-abandonment. It does not mean tolerating emotional chaos all the time just because you can see the pain underneath it. At some point, your empathy turns inward. You start treating yourself with the same compassion that you've always shown others. That's when the healing begins. That's when you stop managing their moods and start protecting your peace. And that's when your empathy becomes your strength, not for keeping people like them in your life, but for finally choosing you. And that brings us to the end of another Fake Love and Flying Monkeys episode. I hope you found that episode insightful, guys. Don't forget, if you'd like to have a one-on-one Zoom counseling session with me, please just see my website link in the description, where you'll also find a link to order your copy of my best-selling book, Fake Love. And if you'd like to support the channel, as I always say, the best thing you can do is to share this episode with someone who may need to hear it. On that note, guys, it's bye from me for now. Until the next episode, remember, you are worthy of love and you are worthy of so much more than a lifetime of fake love and flying monkeys.